Hello folks, how are ya? Thanks again for joining me in a video here. I am going to be answering some questions about paying your mortgage with a credit card and if that's possible and why or why not that's a good idea or bad idea. But in the meantime, if you like my content, I'd love for you to give me a like and subscribe. That really helps me out. I'd appreciate it. Okay, on to these questions. I'm just going to read some questions and answer them. So one is, can you pay your mortgage with a credit card? And the answer is yes and no. Like, your mortgage company won't allow you to pay your monthly payment with a credit card on their website. They don't want you paying your mortgage with a credit card. However, if you wanted to take some extra steps, you could accomplish it. The two ways that come to mind for me is if you have convenience checks from your credit cards where you can write yourself a check into your bank account and then you can pay the mortgage from your bank account, you would de facto be using your credit card to pay your mortgage. Another option is there's a few services out there. One's called Plastiq that essentially allows you to pay anything with a credit card or almost anything with a credit card, even if they don't accept credit cards. And I'm going to kind of merge, actually I'm just going to answer as to why. How the service works is that when you pay anything with a credit card, the receiver of the funds pays the credit card a fee essentially to be able to offer credit cards. And by and large, that fee ranges anywhere from 2 to 3% of the charge, depending on how much volume the retailer or the person allowing you to charge the card for their services does with the credit card company. So, but let's just say it's 3%. So if you go buy something for $100 from XYZ retailer, after they pay the credit card company the fee for allowing the customer to use credit cards, they only get $97, right? So, but I think most people in the world say, hey, the fact that credit cards are so convenient, I do way more business when I offer credit cards, so it's worth the fee. Banks don't say that. They say, we don't want to pay 3% to the credit card company so you can pay your mortgage that way. We would be losing out on the nature of our investment, that is the mortgage. Plastiq says, hey, we'll turn any payment you want into a credit card payment, but you pay the fee. So, and then you probably pay Plastiq a little fee on top of that for their service. So if your mortgage payment, say, were $1,000, or you'd end up paying $1,030 or $1,040 to use Plastiq to pay your mortgage with a card. So that's another way. Now, what are the pros and cons of paying your mortgage with a credit card? Well, it's mostly cons because your mortgage interest is lower than the interest on a credit card. So when you pay your mortgage with a credit card, you're now bumping up the interest you're paying on that money. Plus, you are incurring more debt. I guess in a sense, you could even say you're paying your mortgage company interest and now your credit card company interest. So if you're having to pay your mortgage with your credit card, it's not a good situation all around. You gotta do some work to figure out how to resolve that problem in your general personal financial situation. But I could see if you had some crazy emergency, or I don't know, maybe it would help you to do it once or twice, here and there. But it definitely is a not recommended practice, and you're having to do it. You got some bigger financial problems at play that you need to figure out. So another question is, how do you pay your mortgage with a card? I explained that already. What are some things to consider before paying your mortgage with a credit card? Well, I think it's not to consider before, it's just to consider that, hey, if I'm doing this, I probably need to put more time, effort, and thinking to my personal finances or solve whatever the biggest problem that's happening is, which generally boils down to you spend more money than you make. And sometimes that's because you lost your job and it's a temporary situation. Sometimes that's because you just have crazy spending habits beyond what your income is. But whatever the reason is, you can't spend more than you make in a month or in a year because you will just continually go into debt. So you got to figure out how to actually spend less than you make inclusive of your mortgage payment. I, of course, offer a whole course on how to mastermind your personal finances and figure out how to spend less than you make in a month or a year. What bills can I not pay with a credit card? Well, a mortgage is one of them, and exactly what other kinds of bills you can't pay with a credit card, I don't know, but sometimes utility bills don't allow you to pay with a credit card, but most do now. You probably can't pay your car loan payment with a credit card. When it comes to lending, it's like lenders, you get a mortgage based on your income and your monthly expense and your current debt at the time of the getting the mortgage or getting the car loan. They don't want you going into further debt while you have the loan. Now, naturally, they can't control what you do, and if you're going to go rack up a bunch of credit card debt buying, whatever, or going on vacation, they can't stop you from doing that, but they're not going to enable that process by allowing you to pay your mortgage on a credit card, because essentially what that's doing is it's increasing your debt to income ratio, and it is now like taking what they approved you on and making that those conditions less favorable. Will my credit score go down when I pay off my house? I guess this is a somewhat related question. Yes, it will go down. Anytime you pay off debt, your credit score goes down. However, a home mortgage is a secured loan, and having a mortgage does not affect your credit so negatively, much like you would just be having money out on a credit card, which is an unsecured loan. And generally, if you're paying your mortgage on time, in the long run, that's going to improve your credit than hurt it. But of course, if you take out a bunch of debt, even though it's secured, it may affect your credit score a bit. So if you pay off your mortgage, yes, I'm sure your credit score would go up a little bit. Can I pay my mortgage with a credit card just to earn points? Well, you could make that case, but oftentimes the fee you're going to pay your mortgage with a credit card is around 3%, and cash back and points roughly are worth 1 to 2% per purchase. So if you're just doing it to get points, you're going to be at a net loss on that transaction. And that's it. Those are the questions around paying your mortgage with a credit card. Again, I would just generally advise don't do it. Only if you have to in an emergency. If it turns out that it's something that is happening consistently and the only way you can pay your mortgage, well, you got to look at your overall financial situation and make some changes. I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.